Hi, good afternoon. Here with Grant Ashworth from You Name It Promotions. How you doing, Grant?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Nice to see you, mate.
And you, and you. So, if you could start us off and give us a bit more background as to who you are, what it is you do, how long you've been doing it for, please, Grant.
Okay, yeah, Grant Ashworth and company is You Name It Promotions, a business that I started way back in October of 2001. After being involved in, I was working in the newspaper industry prior to that. So we're now 23 years coming into our 24th year in business.
Fantastic. A good amount of experience there, and it's no mean feat keeping a business going for 23, 24 years.
Yeah.
So what would you say your business journey has been like over that time?
Apart from the big events that have occurred in that time, 2008 was had a big impact on everybody's business. For those of you too young to remember, that was when there was a big international finance issue, and then of course COVID back in 2020 was the other big impact. But other than that, the business journey has, for me, been a fairly smooth process. It's been a fairly simple and smooth process. And I've not really faced massive challenges during that time. Over the course of that journey, when I reflect back, I may well have rose-tinted glasses on because it's a long time,
Yeah.
and I'm also getting old. So, when I look back, I'm probably looking back at all the good stuff that happened. But if I take from year one to year now, we've never made a loss. We've always made a profit, which I'm proud of because I don't think many businesses can go through that process. And I've also gone through the process with this business of not actually borrowing any substantial money, which again was something that I always wanted to try and avoid,
Yeah. So
if I possibly could.
in terms of that, and what was the, I suppose, the catalyst for you to move from being in was it journalism, you said, or the newspaper industry, and setting up on your own?
A potted history, and very potted. I left school, went to work in a family business. My father was a bookmaker, i.e., betting offices. So I worked in that industry until my mid-20s. I then got involved, circumstances allowed me to move up to North Yorkshire in 1988, I think it was. And I got involved in property and was doing very, very well until 1992 came along, and the I think it was Black Monday or Black Friday, I can't quite remember. Crucified it. Interest rates went up to 15%. Had a lot of money borrowed, lost the business, and then had to go and get a job, which is what I did. And I got involved in the regional newspapers, regional press, and as an ad manager, or an advertising rep to begin with, and then worked my way through to an ad manager. And always wanted to get back into a business myself that I could utilize some experience that I'd gained, and started this business in 2001. Originally, actually, this business, the promotional merchandise industry that I'm in, I actually bought a franchise way back in 2001, which was a small franchise. The concept being that we could do small orders, do our own production, and stuff like that. That franchise didn't last very long, actually, only lasted maybe 6 to 9 months, if I remember rightly, because the premise of that franchise was that collectively, the collective purchasing power of that franchise would mean that we would get beneficial rates from suppliers. It was actually the other way around. They kept their supply chain cards close to their chest. And this was in the advent of the internet. I don't even remember the days you probably don't, Mike, but you used to have to dial up on
Oh, so 21 around that age.
and you used to dial up the internet and it would make that terrible noise. And then all of a sudden you get an internet, and then it would last about 2 minutes and crash. So it was really early days of the internet. And anyway, the bottom line was collectively the franchisees who knew each other, who got to know each other, found out what was going on, and effectively we boycotted the franchise, and independently we went on our own. We didn't need the franchise as background. It wasn't an expensive franchise, but it did give us a foot into the business. Gave me a kind of, I would say, at least if I'd have come into this industry without that, it would have been very difficult, because it's of the knowledge that you need in terms of supply chains and stuff like that. So it was beneficial.
So what?
To do it that way.
So what's kind of been your ingredients for making a profit continually, and other than the outside influences of pandemic and financial crashes, what kind of would you say has been your reasons for success on your terms?
The fundamentals, I think, Mike, were I looked at this business, I got involved in this industry. It's not a big industry, but it's substantial enough. I got involved in this industry, and I knew it was a substantial industry. And I figured that there were people making good incomes and good money in this industry. There were successful businesses. And effectively, I just copied what other people were doing, but did it better, to my mind. I didn't complicate it. I give great service. I know that everyone says, what's your USP? What's this? What's that? The bottom line is looking after customers the way that you want to be looked after yourself. Do that, build the customer base, look after your customer base, respect them, and they will keep coming back. And that's what we do. I have customers that I've been dealing with for 20 years, same companies, different staff, totally different staff. The contacts that I had originally have either moved on or retired, but we've managed to maintain those customers and gone forward. And that we have a substantial amount of customers that we've been dealing with for many, many years. And that is purely based on just giving service. I'm getting on. I'm approaching retirement age. Not that I'm planning to retire, but I'm approaching retirement age. And industry is changing. The way we do business is changing. Technology is having such a great impact on stuff. However, people will still need a pen to write with. They still need a notebook to write on. They still need a mug to drink out of. And that will always give this industry an opportunity and people to succeed within this industry. But those fundamentals are exactly the same. The amount of people, even on our referrals that we get and reviews that we get, people constantly come back. It's so nice to have a personal contact, somebody to speak to, and you know exactly what you're getting. And those fundamentals will always be in business. Certainly, the way that we choose to run our business. We are not a tech company. We are purely involved in giving great service to customers, and that's what we do, and that's why we're here.
It's a good share. Thanks, Grant. There's some simple fundamentals there.
So it really is.
You mentioned about not planning to retire. What does the future look like for you as a business then, and what are the challenges, opportunities that you've got?
As we've been established for quite some years now, we have a good customer base. I have an excellent team of staff here, core team of staff. My eldest, or the person who's been with me the longest, has been working with me now for 18 years. The other members of the staff, there's nobody in the team now that's been with me less than 8 years. And there's a team of 6 of us here. And that's a really good, solid base of a team. And I work hard to appreciate what those people do for the business, because they are the business. Without your staff, you're nothing. And fundamentally, looking after those staff is a key part of the success of the business and the ongoing success. that has also allowed me now to be able to take a step back from the business. We have a house in Europe that my wife and I visit regularly and for long periods of time. I take plenty of time out of the business. So that old concept, the concept of retirement, doesn't really apply and doesn't really focus on my radar, really. I think most small entrepreneurs, small businesses don't look upon work as work. They look upon it as part of their life. And I do exactly the same. It's part of my life. I don't really want to retire because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy keeping in touch with the business. I don't work particularly hard these days, so if I want tomorrow off, I'll take tomorrow off. If I want to come in tomorrow afternoon, I'll do that. So I'm not beholden to strict times, etc. And I've managed to do that because of the longevity of the business. We've been here many years. We know how it works. We've plenty of experience in the business, and I'm fully aware, and we use the tools that technology allow us to use to move forward and use different ways of connecting with our customers and giving them a great service, but the fundamentals stay the same. So whilst that we use technology to make communication easier, the fundamentals remain the same. I will keep coming back to that. So I don't know. I don't have personal contact with 90% of our customers. They don't know who I am, which is great as far as I'm concerned, because they're dealing with the personalities and the people that work within the business. And that's one of its strengths.
And would that be reflective if you had to share your biggest lesson in business over those years that you've got experience? What would that be? Is that similar to what you've just said? Anything else?
It is, I suppose, the biggest mistake. I'm trying to think of the biggest mistake that I've ever made, and I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's just part of my personality, in as much as I like an easy life. I don't want too much stress and aggravation. It's easy to say that now. I've been established a long time. When you first start off, there's a lot of stress because you've got if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So that's fundamental. But as the business grows on, I've not been particularly I've not been driven to make this business the biggest business in the industry. I've not been, I'm not competitive with other distributors. It's a competitive industry, but it's also a bit insular. So, we know, everyone knows each other. So we don't tend to, there's never really a big, I don't think there's a lot of competition in terms of supply chain. Again, we have great relationships with our numerous suppliers. We have many, many suppliers, over 200 suppliers in our supply chain. And I've gone off track there because the question was
your lessons. So
lessons, that's it. So those lessons
made a mistake.
Lessons are the good lessons are: keep it simple. Find out what other people are doing and do it better if you possibly can. That's it. Nice. The challenges, we've got challenges. Look after those customers. If a mistake is made, put it right. Put it right for your customer, because that customer will come back time and time again. An example of that is I think I was even working on my own, a local brewery to us, and I won't name who they are, were a customer of mine going back 16, 17 years. And we used to do the bar towels, the old style toweling bar towels, and did a big order and did it out of China. And it went wrong. And it cost me a lot of money at the time, what was a considerable amount of money. And I put it right at my cost because it was my fault. And that customer is still a customer today. And we have far outstripped any cost that I had associated with that mistake that happened. And that's a fundamental lesson I learned, that always put a customer's, if you do something wrong, even if it's not your fault, it might be a supply chain issue, it could be a courier problem, put it right, the customer will always respect that and come back to you.
Great advice. Is there any more advice if someone came to you, said, Grant, I'm thinking of starting a business, maybe in the promotion sector? I mean, I think we've possibly covered quite a lot of what you'd recommend with what you've already said, but yeah, the sort of words of advice for budding entrepreneurs, people starting out.
I think be on top and find out how you can use technology to get a bit of a foot up now, because there's so many tools out there, so many really good tools, and business is changing. The whole environment is changing. Everything's changing. People are working from home now. It's affecting our business, affecting our industry. You know, years ago, pre-COVID, you could anticipate there would be many businesses that would use internal gifts. They stopped doing that now because so many people work at home. The communication, the actual physical transaction of giving something to somebody is now virtual in a lot of times. It's not a personal thing, so you don't often see people, and that's affecting our business. There's no two ways about that. It's changing. There's a shift in how people are doing business. They're using different tools, different products when it comes to the perspective of our industry. In terms of giving someone advice, a very simple thing would be, make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated. Business doesn't have to be cutthroat. It doesn't have to be a win-lose situation. If you can create a win-win situation every time, that's a far better thing. So if you think, you know, you're getting one over on your customer, that's not the way to think. Make sure you're fair with your customers, whatever business you're in. Do the right thing by them, and they will always respect that and come back to you.
Good advice. Thanks, Grant. So then lastly, in terms of summarizing it and giving you the opportunity really to share any latest news, or if it's a case of sharing your website.
Okay.
Anybody who can get in touch, make an order or anything like that?
Absolutely. It's You Name It Promotions is the name of the company, younameitpromotions.co.uk, and that is you as in the letter U, not YOU. Do drop us a line, get in touch. We'd be happy to quote. All we ever want to do is quote and give you an opportunity to sample our service. If you think we're any good, terrific. If you don't, not a problem. I'm sure you'll do very well elsewhere.
Thank you very much, Grant. Well, lovely to speak with you, and I wish you all the best for the future of the business, however long and whatever the plans are for retirement.
Yeah. A bit of skiing, a bit of winter sun will do.
Fantastic.
And then we'll go from there.
Great inspiration for others, that. Thanks very much, Grant. All the best.
Thank you.